Miss Marvel is checking in on how her best hero friend Miles Morales is doing. He's been hiding in his room, skipping out on team meetings for their group, the Champions. Something's wrong. Kamala knocks on Spidey's door hard, yelling at him to let her in. When he doesn't, Kamala shrinks herself to fit under the door, heading in to talk anyway. Miles isn't comfortable with this. Even after Kamala apologizes and tries to ask him what's wrong, he yells at her that he doesn't want to say anything to her. Kamala takes that personally. She's trying to lead the Champions, but everyone's at each other's throats right now due to their personal drama. Sam Alexander, the other founding member of the team, has lost his powers and still feels awkward about it. Now, the one other hero she thought she could trust isn't backing her up. The Champions are doing good on the field. They should be celebrating, getting closer, right? Leave! Now! Miss Marvel walks away, trying hard not to be angry at her friend. Miles is left alone in his room. Alone?
Such anger, Mr. Morales. I'm quite surprised, actually. Isn't this everything you hoped for?
Everything went wrong during yesterday's mission. The Champions were fighting a massive electrical monster, Zax, in downtown Dubai. Spidey and Vision are going head-to-head with the big guy while the rest of the team evacuated civilians. Zax won't just let the team do their thing though. He rips up a section of the sidewalk, throwing a shower of rubble at Kamala and her friends. Amadeus Cho, the team's Hulk, is working on a containment field to hold Zax, but he still needs 30 seconds to get it up and running. Zax isn't gonna wait around for him. He's reached an underground energy line and is starting to draw his power from it. Viv yells to her teammates, "Those lines power Dubai's rail network." Zax is gonna get a massive boost from this. And yeah, grasping the rails, Zax surges with energy, knocking Miles away from the fight. Kamala stretches, putting herself between the Electrovore and a group of evacuating civilians. She gets hit with a bolt of cascading electricity for her trouble. Viv is flying towards her team leader, reaching out even as Miss Marvel hits the ground. Miles finally touches down on the top floor of a building. You can see the fight's going bad, and the Champions need to turn it around. But Zax's bolt destabilizes this building, and a local girl is running for her life. Before the kid can be crushed under the rubble, Spidey dives down, catching the unfortunate girl and getting her clear of the devastation. The grateful kid is shocked that Spidey saved her, but thanks Miles, offering him 1,000 blessings. Miles swings back into the fight, grimly noting the Champions are gonna need all of them at this rate. Viv's reached Miss Marvel and is telling her to retreat. Kamala won't back down while the city's still in danger, just telling her robot teammate to help Amadeus get his device working. Viv listens to her team leader, phasing through the rubble to reach Cho more quickly, but before she can get out of the wall, a bolt from Zax hits her. Miles is almost back in the fight, but the electric monster is bigger than ever before, roaring out over the ruins of Dubai. Before Spidey can get close enough to land a punch, Zax throws out a massive beam, wrecking an entire skyscraper with this solid gold Kamehameha. Miles' spider sense is going nuts. He screams at his teammates, the civilians, everyone to run. But Kamala's still injured, and about 350,000 tons of steel and glass is falling right on top of her. Amadeus runs to Viv, trying to help her get out of the wall she's been trapped in. In a final, ear-splitting boom, the tower falls to the ground. Miles takes a second to recover from the shock. He gets to work, trying to clear the rubble, calling out to his team. Amadeus clears the debris covering him with a flex, but the young Hulk isn't doing well. Viv's not moving. She's dead. Miles, unable to believe it, turns and starts desperately clawing his way through the rubble. This can't be right. Kamala will fix this. She's been Miles' friend for a while now. They geeked out together about getting to work with the Avengers. And now, one bangled, bloodied arm tells Miles a horrifying story. Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel, is dead. And Spider-Man, her best friend, couldn't do a single thing to save her. Miles screams, crying his heart out at the loss. Amadeus isn't doing much better. He's just staring down at Viv's smoldering corpse, head in his hand. The two didn't have a simple relationship. He'd been interested in her romantically, but she didn't reciprocate. Still, now, all Amadeus can think of is what came after the rejection. Him hugging her close and wanting her to be happy. Now, she's dead. She died right in front of a super smart Hulk, and there was nothing Amadeus could do. He hugs her close, begging Viv to get back up. He's still holding her as Miles slowly carries Kamala out of the crater. With Kamala down, Spidey's taking charge, telling Amadeus to get more help. They need more heroes to deal with the devastation. Amadeus tries to call back to Champions HQ, calling out for Sam, but someone else answers instead.
All that boy's getting is static, I'm afraid. Zax's electrical explosion disrupted communication for Miles.
Mephisto, Master of Hell, has decided to join Spidey and Hulk for this. The two young heroes are naturally shocked at the literal devil just showing up like it's nothing.
I always wonder why teenagers feel such a desperate need to throw themselves into battle. What's the old saying? Youth is wasted on the young.
The devil introduces himself by name to Miles and Amadeus. The Hulk isn't buying this, claiming the devil can't be real. Mephisto doesn't care.
Oh, wait, do you smell that? The charred air and sulfur, burning plastic and smoldering flesh. The stench of failure.
Miles yells at the devil to shut up, and Mephisto apologizes. He claims he's not here to gloat, but to help.
The heroes you worship have led you astray. They filled your heads with delusions of grandeur. Mistakes were bound to happen. You don't deserve to carry the endless guilt of such a thing for all your days. Let me fix it for you.
Shocked, Amadeus tries to argue, but Mephisto keeps going. It might be a trick, but the two heroes have two dead friends and a mountain of regrets. They've got reason to deal. This just makes Miles more angry, expecting this to be some kind of plan to steal their souls. Mephisto denies that too. He's got enough souls. He's not going to charge Miles or Amadeus anything for this. All they have to do is agree. He'll take them back in time to just before the champions touch down in Dubai. They can make sure it works this time. They capture Zax. No fight, no dead teammates. Amadeus, still clutching Viv, asks why Mephisto wants to do this. The devil claims he just likes being unpredictable. His face is carefully neutral, and this is starting to tempt Miles.
Free and clear. No soul taken, no oath demanded, no blood contract signed. Just tell me to do it, and I will. It's your choice, but make it quick before I change my mind.
Hulk insists they can't do this. It's too much. They can call in the rest of the champions, and then what, Amadeus? Get them to dig through the wreckage? Count the bodies? Help us bury them? If they go back, they can end the fight quickly. Amadeus knows the calibration to trap Zax now. They'd catch him in no time. No one would have to die. Hulk's still not comfortable with this, but all Miles can see is that memory of swinging through the sky with a happy, laughing Kamala at his side, and her now lying on the ground in front of them, forever still. There's no choice. Do it. And Mephisto grins. Resetting time takes a massive amount of power, even for the Master of Hell. Crackling red flames envelop Mephisto. The sheer force of this alarms mages across the Marvel Universe. Doctor Strange, Talisman, Dr. Voodoo, and Satana all cry out in fear, but they don't have time to intervene. Miles himself screams in fear, pain, regret, and then they're back. The first moments of the Dubai fight, Miss Marvel urging them into action, Viv Vision alive and well at her side. It worked. Zax's cry of "stupid humans" is almost refreshing. They have this second chance. They can save their friends. Kamala asks Amadeus how long he needs for the containment field. He's still a little shocked, but confirms he's got the settings he needs to get it ready. No 30-second delay this time. Miles, meanwhile, swings in, ready to keep Zax distracted and his focus away from his friends. Kamala is a little surprised at her friends taking command of the mission when she's supposed to be the leader. Spidey doesn't have time to explain though, telling Sam to bring the Champions mobile base in close in case they need backup. This time, he knows Zax's bolt is coming and dodges easily, the massive energy beam going right past him like it's nothing. That's all the time Amadeus needed to finish calibrating his Zax trap, slamming it down. The Electrovore is drawn in immediately, his screams and struggling futile against the technology. Even Amadeus is surprised at seeing his device work this time. Still, they won. Kamala's excited at how this mission went. Miles, meanwhile, is still on edge, remembering the deal. He wasn't supposed to have paid a price for this second chance, but he's forgetting something. Kamala and Viv handle explaining this to the Dubai authorities. Amadeus and Spidey stand on the sidelines, trying not to talk about the whole deal with the devil thing. Behind them, emergency workers are starting to clear away the rubble from Zax's attack. And there's a different arm in the rubble. 8 days later, Kamala is leading exercises for the rest of the champions, having them try to catch Shapeshifter, Snowguard. A simple game of tag. How hard could it be? Locust is first up, jumping right after the bounding wolf. Unfortunately, she crashes right into Patriot, knocking both heroes down while Snowguard keeps bounding away. Next, it's Bombshell's turn. She launches a shockwave to try and trip the wolf up, but Snowguard shifts into a rabbit and clears it easily. The blast almost knocks Falcon out of the sky and does catch Power Man, knocking him down. It also hits the powerless Sam Alexander, who'd been watching the training. Thankfully, Kamala is here to catch him. Falcon soars down towards Snowguard, while Power Man picks himself back up, ready to throw a chi-enhanced punch. And they both crash into each other. This team still got a ways to go. Miles, meanwhile, isn't doing so hot. He's still lost, thinking about the deal and the conversation he had with Mephisto afterwards.
Isn't this everything you hoped for? Miss Marvel and Viv Vision are alive thanks to your decision. You gave me permission to roll back time so you could save them from disaster. I'd have thought you'd be a bit more grateful.
Miles asks Mephisto why he's still here. The devil claims he just thought Miles might need someone to talk to. Before the memory goes any further though, Amadeus puts a hand to Spidey's shoulder, bringing him back to the present. The two are the only ones who know about meeting Mephisto in Dubai. Amadeus asks Miles if he wants to talk about it. Spidey just throws back a flat no, trying to shut this down. Cho won't listen though. He's still kind of traumatized by what happened that day. He can smell the wreckage, feel his tears, and that finally makes Miles talk. Did I do the right thing? Amadeus can't answer that, but either way, it's over now. And hey, they saved people. That's why they formed the champions in the first place, right? Miles heads up to the roof of their mobile bunker, watching the sunrise and thinking back. And finally, he remembers. The girl he'd saved in the first run-through of events in Dubai. The one who'd wished him 1,000 blessings. That was before the reset. There was no one there for her in this version of events. Maybe Miles could have saved her this time too, but he was focused on protecting Kamala and Viv, just getting the mission done. He wasn't thinking about where Zax's blasts were going. That girl is dead. Because of him. Recent Champions recruit Pinpoint is sitting in his room, listening to music while Miles drops by. Having someone talk to him from the ceiling scares the kid, Qureshi, half to death, but he recovers quickly. You know Spidey's cool. Miles has a question. Pinpoint can create portals anywhere on Earth, right? Qureshi confirms that's probably true. Miles admits the younger boy doesn't really know him, but he needs a favor. Kamala and Snowguard are just now getting back from training. Snow claiming all that behavior was due to the rookie heroes trying to show off for Miss Marvel since she's team leader. Viv greets the pair with a new mission for the team, a violent anti-mutant protest they could help break up. Before they can head out though, the heroes see Pinpoint sneaking back in via a portal. Kamala asks Qureshi where he's been. She sent him an invite and a text. The nervous newbie stammers that he missed them both. Kamala asks where he's been instead. Pinpoint's already nervous, almost immediately folds, admitting first that he's intimidated by the idea of combat training, and then that just now, well, Spidey told him not to say. So he took Spidey somewhere. Kamala asks where. Kureshi, squirming, admits he doesn't want Kamala or Spidey mad at him and asks her to pretend he hadn't just said that. In Dubai, the repair work is still ongoing. You can't fix that much damage in a week. A kid calls out that one of the heroes has arrived. His mom explaining that he must have come to pay respects to Farida, the girl who died. There's a little shrine left in the wreckage, decorated with pictures, flowers, and a few other small tributes. One of the civilians calls out to Miles, identifying him as Second Spider. He just wanted to make it clear Miles is free to pray or make an offering too, if that's what he wants. Spidey stammers out a thanks as he spots a woman kneeling by the shrine, chanting a prayer under her breath. She's got tears in her eyes as she touches the photo one last time. It's Farida's mother. Miles falls to his knees at that realization, trying to apologize, but the woman doesn't blame him for an instant. The champions saved so many people that day. Miles tries to protest, but Farida's mother won't hear it, insisting that he did all he could. She's upset, but she's convinced her daughter's death was God's will. Farida's mother gets to her feet, leaving Miles to process that. Spidey reaches out for Farida's picture, the words God's will echoing in his head. A cruel joke. He can still see Farida alive, hearing her last words to him. Even as the other mourners leave and the sun starts to set, Miles is still there, head bowed low in shame. The one thing that makes him look up is the sound of Pinpoint opening another gateway. He's brought Kamala here. The kid apologizes to Mr. Spidey for this, before portaling out to join the rest of the team in their mission. Kamala and Miles are left alone once again. There's no getting out of this conversation. Miles protests that Kamala doesn't understand what happened. She admits she doesn't, because Miles won't explain it. Taking his mask off, Miles starts trying to talk through it, but he's finding it tough to put into words. Starting to sense how serious the situation is. Kamala gets tense. How do you go through something like that and carry on? How could anyone? Miss Marvel tries to get him to focus. Finally, Miles finds his words. 8 days ago, right here, fighting that electrical monster. We failed, and you died. You and Viv, dead. But then I got the chance to make it all right. To choose hope. He calls himself Mephisto. Kamala recognizes that name, already worried at just what happened. Both young heroes are crying now. Miles admits that he didn't sell his soul, but to him, that would have been easier. He's still torn up over Farida's death, admitting what happened to Kamala. I can't stop imagining who she was, who she would have been. Maybe she would have grown up and made the world a better place, cured cancer, or just lived and grown old, but I traded her life for yours, and I didn't even mean to. Kamala isn't taking this well. Both the young heroes are upset by this. Miss Marvel isn't blaming Miles for what happened though. She's blaming herself. She was the team leader. If people died in the original timeline, Kamala considers that her fault. She wants to quit, but Miles turns that around on her. Kamala's the team leader. The other champions are looking up to her. This team exists because of her. So he's going to quit instead. He's the one who can't face his teammates anymore. He's even considering giving up being Spider-Man, worried how much this is going to take from him. Without another word to Kamala, he swings away. Watching all of this from hell, Mephisto's captured son, Blackheart, is confused. Why did Mephisto target Miles? Mephisto chuckles. He delights in bringing great suffering to all Spider-Men. New or old, the pattern holds. But Blackheart's still curious. Mephisto helped the champions, saved 2 of them. He didn't get Miles' soul or trap him in a contract. What was the point of this?
Young heroes like this have a purity of spirit that could prove troublesome if allowed to reach adulthood. Far better to build doubts within and corrupt their souls now while they're still nascent and vulnerable. The boy's innocence wouldn't let him make a deal with the Infernal and just walk away. He couldn't live with the secrets, and neither of them can live with the truth. I relish this anguish, the kind perfectly attuned to a soul's best intentions. It is a self-inflicted wound I shall feast upon for many years. And if the pain grows beyond their capacity to endure it, then I shall offer them a splendid solution that only I can provide.
A dark day for Miles, almost as bleak as the time he was forced to fuse with both Venom and Carnage.